there and welcome to my channel. My name's Cheryl and this is Lifestyle of a DIYer. In today's video, I'm going to take some things that I found at the thrift store and I'm going to upcycle them into some fun spring home decor. So let's get right into it. Here are all my thrifted items that I am going to flip into spring home decor. Three of the items that I'm flipping today are going to get painted, and the only prep work that I had to do was get this paper off these little birds. And then everything got painted in 2 coats of DIY Farm Fresh. While I was waiting for the paint to dry, I started on my spring flip number 1, this rustic little fence. I wanted to make a pocket to go around this little fence so it could go on my front door and hold some spring flowers. I just took an old piece of drop cloth. I had washed it and I just used fabric glue and glued the edges. I'm going to use some IOD stamps to put on the front of my pocket, so before I did that I wanted to make sure that my pocket fit. And it actually has a little stretch to it, so it fit fine. The most difficult part of this flip was trying to figure out what I wanted to put on the front of my pocket. At first I wanted to put Welcome Spring, but Welcome was too long, so then I thought I would do Hello Spring, but Hello and Spring, it was just too tall, so I ended up putting Spring. I used the IOD Swoosh Decor stamps and the IOD ink in black. Now I'm taking the letters off in order that they're going to be used so I don't misspell anything. These letters are all lowercase and they're designed to overlap so they look like cursive. I'm a little late getting my video out this week. I had a bit of a distraction. I mentioned in an earlier video that I'm part of a rescue group and I got a call about a stray dog. And here's the little guy. We got a hold of him. He was way underweight. Terribly matted. He was so dirty, but such a sweet boy. I put a little paper down in the pocket before I put in the flowers, and I'm no floral designer, but I do like things symmetric, so if I put it on one side, then it went on the other side, and I just kept messing around with it till I liked it. And then I couldn't decide whether I should add a bow to it. Should I just keep it kind of this natural look? So I left it. But what do you think? Do you think I should have added a bow? You'll see it on my front door in a minute, and then let me know what you think. And on to spring flip number 2, this wooden toolbox. For this flip, I used the Magnolia Design Retro Flower Silkscreen Stencil. These stencils are very tacky on the back, so before you use them on wood, you want to de-tack them by putting them over a towel. Some people just put them on their shirt. It's just to make them not quite so tacky. I think this is such a fun stencil, and because the back is tacky, you don't really have to worry about the paint bleeding underneath the design. I just used my JRV stencil brush and I used DIY paint in cake batter. One important thing you want to remember when you're using a silkscreen stencil, you do not want to let the paint dry in the mesh or it will ruin the stencil. So as soon as you're done, you want to put it in like a tub of water, and then when you're all done with your project, then you can go wash the stencil. I thought the box looked super cute just like this. I don't think everything needs to be distressed, but I did want this box to have a distressed look. So I sanded it a little and I used a wet cloth and I wet distressed the edges of the box. I'm sorry you can't see this very well, but I have some alphabet stamps that I got off of Amazon and I just spelled out the word bloom. Most of the items that I used today, I'll put a link in the description below. When you use DIY paint, you always want to remember to use a sealer. So I sealed my project in clear wax, and that darkens up the paint a little bit. And then I went around the edges where I had distressed it with a dark wax. You'll have to watch this video all the way to the end to see how cute this box turned out. And on to our spring flip number 3. To update these little birds, I just used some scrapbook paper and decoupaged it to the front of the birds. The one thing I did wrong here is when I traced the birds to get the right size of the paper, I had all 3 birds going the same direction, and I really wanted one bird going the opposite direction. And when you see the final result at the end of the video, you'll see that I had corrected that. I use DIY liquid patina for my decoupage medium. You can always use Mod Podge to decoupage the paper on. This was the first time I had used liquid patina and it turned out so nice. On this first bird, I put the liquid patina on the wood. Then I put the paper down and I put liquid patina over it, but I kept having to lift the paper and putting more liquid patina to get it to stick to the wood. So I think the best way would put a coat on the wood, then put a coat on the back of the paper, and then put the paper down, smooth it all out, and then put a final coat over the top. And that seemed to work fine. And since I was using DIY paint, I also needed to seal it. So the liquid patina can also be used as a sealer. And here's our little guy after a clean bill of health from the vet. He's had all of his shots and a bath, and he's such a sweet boy. I let it dry overnight, and then in the morning I took sandpaper and I sanded off the edges of the paper so it fit right up against the wood. I also distressed the edges just a little bit. Because I wanted to use dark wax over the areas that I had sanded, I first put a coat of clear wax. You always want to do clear wax first before the dark wax so that if you get it too dark, you can always remove it. And you can actually use the clear wax like an eraser. When you see the little birds staged at the end of the video, they will have their wings on. I kind of forgot about the wings until I was staging it, and so then I glued them on with hot glue. And now for our 4th and final spring flip. I think this plate is called an aluminum pressed plate. I find them quite often at the thrift stores, and I have a few of them waiting for future DIYs. But I couldn't figure out what I wanted to put in the middle of this plate. I was going to use my Cricut and make a stencil, but I had ordered some spring stencils from Amazon, and they actually came in the day that I was going to do this, and they fit in the center. So this stencil was actually a little bit too big because it said oh hello spring, so I cut the top off because I could always put it back on and use it with the stencil. But it turned out so cute, and again I used DIY cake batter. I wanted to use DIY white wax to bring out all the flowers on this plate. So first I did a coat of clear wax, and then I went over everything with the white wax. I buffed it off, and that brought out all the flowers. As I've been editing this video, someone's been sleeping behind me, hogging most of my chair. To make my hanger, I used a piece of drop cloth, a paper clip, E6000, and some hot glue, and it works great. And when everything dried, it looked so cute. I don't know which one was my favorite project today. I really liked them all, and I think they all look so nice together. So you'll have to let me know which one was your favorite, and will you try any of these? Made it this far, thank you so much for watching. If you like this kind of content, I would love it if you would give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell, and then you'll know every time I upload a new video. And it's pretty much almost possible for me to do an intro or outro without my dogs barking, so we're just gonna go with it. So I will see you next time. Bye.